All right, guys, so I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a video where there's a robot speaking with a man, and the man is asking him to do a couple things, and the robot speaks like normally. So this is, I guess, a company called Figure AI, and I think they're working with OpenAI, and I think they're separately owned companies, but they work together to get this robot to do this more direct speech to speech. Now, I just want to kind of just poke some fun and kind of wonder why is the robot actually saying or why is he hesitating? And I have some theories um, about possibly why that is, but I don't really know for sure. So go ahead and watch this clip where he asks him.
Great. Can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
So he says on it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only uh edible item I could provide you with from the table. So if you're generating that sentence, if you're answering someone right away and they're like, "Why'd you do that?" Well, I gave it to you because it's the. There's actually multiple things you could say. You could say it's the only reasonable item or the only appropriate item. But if you're going to logically think about it, what's like what's something that you could say where somebody's like, "Oh, that's absolutely correct and it makes complete sense and it answers the question." Well, when he says it's the only edible item, then it's just like he gets 100% score because he was asked to give him something to eat and there was basically the context was the table, so the only thing that was edible was the apple. So that it wouldn't make sense for him to give something else. So if he said another word like it was the only appropriate or the only reasonable item, then maybe, you know, that wouldn't actually hold as much weight because now it's based on his opinion and he, it's not as solid of a response. The other thing is, for at least for something I've experienced, is a vocabulary. Now, computers might not have this problem of being able to look up a word in milliseconds, but a human will try to think sometimes if they're slow at trying to remember certain words, like the word edible. If you haven't used it for a while, it can actually be hard to think of the word that you're trying to say. Like it can be hard to remember sometimes for certain people. I think I experienced that after being exposed to mercury. I think my ability to remember big words, it became more difficult for some reason. I used to be able to just spit out big words and like write papers, and then it became difficult because it was like every time I was trying to remember a word, I couldn't remember what the word was. I just remembered there was a word and what it means and how I've used it, but I couldn't remember what the word was. Now, the computer is going to be using, you know, it's going to be able to. It's obviously they don't want to just have a text model in between because there's voice inflection, but when you have like end-to-end neural networks, you're probably going to have some different models that you can use in the middle. So anyway, I'm not an expert on this robot or anything, but I'm just saying the the point is the computer is not necessarily going to think the same way that we do, which most people won't find that hard to believe. But um, they might just be trying to mimic. So there were some people commenting saying, "Oh, they just pre-recorded it." No, I think this is the point of this is that it's showing what this robot can do. Now, the robot might be actually trying to sound human. So when you train it on enough humans, it will purposely just say, it'll purposely stumble at certain points just to sound human, even though it doesn't need to stumble. So that's kind of what I'm putting forward. It's like, is it a way for, is it a way to, um, see, I'm kind of doing it. I'm starting a sentence because statistically, I thought it was maybe likely that I'd be able to finish the sentence, but sometimes it's difficult to think of the word that would make the sentence make sense that quickly. So you kind of take the risk and you just go at it. And you say, well, since there's an 80% chance that I could finish the sentence, I'm going to start because it's worth the risk rather than waiting and not starting the sentence. Now, the robot actually stalls and pauses for a while before answering. So if you watch the whole video, you'll see there's a wait. And then at the end, go ahead and watch this last part.
All right, so how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
So he says, I think I did pretty well. So I'm not sure. Is there another way? Is there like two competing things that he was thinking of saying, and then he had to kind of compute both of them, and it was like hard to decide between the two, when you would have like the 50% versus 51%, or and so he has the neural net has to do a little more work with the rest of the algorithm, however they do it, to determine what he was going to follow the I, because I guess he said it because he was sure he was going to at least start the sentence with I. Or was this just more evidence that this robot is just saying it in a way that sounds human, that feels relatable, that makes it seem like he's emulating a regular humanoid way of thinking, like a regular brain. So what do you guys think? I just am poking fun at this. I have no idea what the correct answer actually is. I'm just curious, and I just wanted to put some ideas out there because I figured humans don't just say for no reason. They don't. It's not just there for no reason. It's because you can actually break it down mathematically, and there's like a probability that you're going to start a sentence with a few certain words, but after that it kind of diverges, and you might not necessarily know at the beginning of the sentence that that there's going to be that big of a competing probability. And so there's basically you can fill that space with pauses and ums if you're not necessarily cognitively efficient at just continuing your speech and knowing exactly what you're going to say word for word, able to produce the next sentence before you finish the one before it. Um, Let me know what you think. It seems like a fun thing to watch though, because you traditionally before this video, it's just been like data on Star Trek and all this. It's just science fiction, but here we actually have a a computer that sounds like he's able to speak almost as though he's on a human level, and that's not the same as just text to speech, speech to text, and then text translating to another response text, and then that text back to speech again. This is different. There's more subtle connections in there. There's going to be, whether it's just the delays or also the inflections, like there's other memory, like other state going on than just the text itself. You could represent that state in text, I'm sure, but you don't have to. It probably would be inefficient to do that. But there's other states going on, like there's a contextual thing. Some people might call it a tone. But I thought that was pretty cool. So let me know what you guys think, and if you work at one of these companies, I'd like to know what it actually is. Is it just mimicking humans? Let us know, like, is it doing that, or is it actually stalling to process more? Because that would be better than the robot sitting there and waiting for a long time. It would actually be better for him to be able to kind of jump the gun a little bit and be a little risky to match kind of what humans do. And because I would want a more efficient, AI. I like them to be more accurate, efficient, correct than just being so, surround everything they say with all these disclaimers. Let me know what you think. See you guys next time.
All right, so how do you think you did?
I I think I did pretty well.